This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Tonight from the Gateway City. Kicks off a 4-game series. First visit for Pittsburgh to St. Louis, and they'll take on the Cardinals. And welcome to the broadcast booth with Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is here as well. Cardinals are scuffling a bit. They've dropped 6 of 7. Meanwhile, the Pirates have won 5 of 7. They've got very good pitching, good starters, and the Cardinals are hoping that'll be the case tonight with Michael Wacha.
It's the best way to get back on track is to have your starting pitcher sharp. So that's Michael Wacha's job here. Last time we saw Michael Wacha was in Chicago, and he was a hanging cutter away from having a good day there. He gave up a grand slam, but he's pitched very well at home against the Pirates. 8 starts, 5-1, and ERA under 2 here at Busch Stadium for Michael Wacha.
That was our AARP take on Michael Wacha against the Pirates. Meanwhile, well, the innings, you hope they pile up, you hope the strikeouts pile up, and you hope the walks go down.
Way too many walks for Michael Wacha. He's a guy that ought to be throwing more strikes. Yes, the strikeouts are up, but what it results in, Dan, is more pitches per inning. We'd like to have him keep that pitch count low, get some strikeouts, yes, but lower the walks.
Joe Musgrove will go for the Pirates, Wacha for St. Louis. These two teams, recent seasons, it's been back and forth. The studio covers that next. Eric Gould of the Post-Dispatch today, and this quote from Paul Goldschmidt. It's not about me. It's about trying to help us win. Try to have good at-bats. I haven't been doing a good enough job of that. From the article with Derek Gould in the Post, Ricky, your thoughts?
A couple of things I like in that for your guy who is your middle-of-the-lineup hitter, your most important offensive threat, humility, but also responsibility. I love it.
So Paul Goldschmidt is in the lineup again here this evening. So is Francisco Cervelli and Matt Carpenter. It's the Pirates. It's the Cardinals. The first visit by Pittsburgh to St. Louis. First pitch comes your way next.
The Pirates and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Overcast skies. It is chilly, 58 degrees. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Rick Horton here in the booth. Jim Hayes is with us as well. And Michael Wacha gets the start tonight for St. Louis.
Yeah, looking forward to Michael Wacha getting back out there again after having a rough start in Chicago that actually began very well, but then he hit a roadblock. He is 2-0 overall on the season, ERA over 5. Way too many walks again for Michael Wacha. Here's his Hyundai pitch arsenal: fastball, cutter, changeup, curve. All of them, Dan, are plus pitches on any given day. And the key for Michael is commanding those pitches and not only throwing strikes with them, but staying out of the middle of the plate and going to corners with all 4 of them.
Well, sometimes if you're a manager like Clint Hurdle, you're laughing, you're smiling. Other times you're probably crying on the inside. Good to see him smiling here, and here's his lineup presented by GMC. Frazier, Marte, and Polanco. Then Bell, Cabrera, Cervelli, Moran, Tucker, and Musgrove.
He's been smiling a lot lately because the Pirates are playing good baseball. And especially be careful about Josh Bell and Melky Cabrera. Both those guys with big hitting streaks going on right now. They're 4-5 in the lineup.
And Bell has picked up the power production too. 9 home runs. He's driven in 27. A point of emphasis for him in this offseason. And he's working with a new hitting coach in Rick Eckstein, who is David's brother, and David also is a member of the Pirates front office. And the first pitch taken high for a ball, and we're underway. Adam Frazier hitting .258, 1 home run, and he's driven in 7. Second baseman for the Pirates. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals need to bounce back, get a little offense, get a little mojo going their way. Some ugly losses in games in that Philly series.
If the Cardinals play well here tonight, they'll be distant memories, Dan.
Yes.
Maybe not for the fans and those of us who are frustrated by those losses, but I think the players kind of are really what happened yesterday, which is okay.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Frazier, and it's popped back in foul, and a 6:45 start. These early starts with school still in session, and we take a look at our Toyota key to the game.
Avoid the big inning. The Cardinals starters have had trouble with that lately, where you put a 4, 5, 6 spot up, and why I think that is important, Dan.
And a fly ball into shallow center. There's Fowler with the catch.
It's for the psyche of the team in general. Let's just say, you know, for the sake of argument, you had a big inning early. You would get that here we go again feeling collectively as a team that I think Mike Schilt would like to stay away from.
Oh boy, would he ever. It's Dakota Hudson 2 nights ago, and then yesterday Flaherty, a couple of errors committed behind him. Turned out to be a rough middle of that ball game, and the Cardinals would drop 2 of 3 and lose that ball game 5-0. Here's Starling Marte batting .223. And a ground ball that's hit softly to third. Carpenter was playing in, and there's 2 away. Cardinals defense around the horn presented by Dobbs. Ozuna, Fowler, and Martinez in the outfield. Carpenter, DeYoung, Wong, and Goldschmidt along the infield. And Yadier Molina is behind the plate. Brings in Gregory Polanco. We did not see him in that brief 2-game series against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. He was dealing with a shoulder issue, and obviously a big part of their defense, their lineup, their speed, just about everything.
He's a guy you just don't want to catch when he's hot. You know, he can be pitched to. Of course, anybody in the big leagues can be pitched to if you're not hot. But when he is feeling it, Dan, he is a tough out. He's really a complete player, too.
7 for 26, and 3 of the 7 hits have been home runs against Michael Wacha. 2 balls and no strikes. I think we've said it, boy, just about every time he steps to the plate. I think Oscar Taveras when I see Gregory Polanco.
Me
it's hard
too.
not to.
I'm guessing, Dan, that's always going to be the case for us.
2 guys, outfielders, same division, highly thought of, talked about as big prospects, just about debuting at the same time. Both swinging from this side of the plate. Boy, the fortunes changed for the Cardinals and the trickle-down effect after that tragic passing. You know, you had to go out and get Hayward. You gave up Shelby Miller. Would he still be here? You know, you just, and you can go on and on and on. And obviously the most important thing is to remember his life. Baseball secondary. And that's it out of play. However, from the business perspective,
it affected it.
It did affect it. And we've talked about, too, how teams, and the Cardinals included here, I mean, you budget 3, 4, 5 years out and lineups and what guys may make. And there is a drive into deep right field, 1-0, and the 4th home run by Polanco against Michael Wacha. 2nd home run this year, and a long one over the bullpen in right field. Just to finish the thought, but you budget for those rosters, and it did have a impact certainly on the Cardinals. Boy, that's a long one there, huh?
Polanco certainly had an impact on that baseball, and it was a hanger. The pitch up in the zone. I believe it was a changeup. There it is, sitting middle at 84, and a mistake right out of the hand of Michael Wacha, and he knew it. And Polanco's eyes just lit up. And he didn't really overswing, Dan, but he caught that flush, didn't he?
A pretty swing, too, doesn't he, from the left side? Here's Josh Bell, switch hitter. And he hit a monster home run. PNC Park. Splash hit. That's a monster home run there. 426 off the bat of Polanco. You know, Ricky, that's the 62nd home run allowed by the Cardinals already this year. Here was yesterday for Josh Bell. Oh boy.
Oh, I think he knew it. He got all of that. 474 feet. And that one lands. Now they count them even when they roll into the water in. Is that the Monongahela or the Allegheny?
That's the Allegheny.
It's the Allegheny, right.
Yep.
Of course, what used to be the Three Rivers area where they all meet. But there's several Cardinals on that list. Of course, you have to be left-handed to get on that list.
Off the glove of Goldschmidt and into shallow right field. Wong hustling after it, and it's back-to-back hits. Almost got this for the 3rd out.
Well, this is just reaction. You don't have time to do too much. You take a couple of steps, jump, and couldn't quite get it.
It's 2 consecutive 2-out, 2-strike hits.
And a 9-game hitting streak for Bill.
Here's Melky Cabrera. And Cabrera lifts it in the air into right field. Jose Martinez makes the catch. Home run hit by Polanco. Coming up, top of the lineup. Let's see if they can't get it going. Carpenter, Goldschmidt, and DeYoung. 1-0 Pittsburgh. 3 home runs last and moments ago connected with his second of 2019. Matt Carpenter at the top of the Cardinals lineup, presented by GMC, followed by Paul Goldschmidt and then Paul DeYoung. Marcelo Zuna, Jose Martinez, Yadier Molina, Dexter Fowler, Colton Wong, and the pitcher batting ninth, Michael Wacha.
Several guys in that lineup, Dan, that the Cardinals are trying to get hot. You just wonder maybe if it'll all happen at once. Colton Wong's been struggling lately. Of course, Goldschmidt has. And Matt Carpenter has had some good moments, but now is kind of back into struggling a bit. So it'd be nice to have them all working in concert, as they were a couple of weeks ago.
And it coincided with the club having the best record in baseball. Look at the Hyundai pitch arsenal with this right-hander, Joe Musgrove.
Just 6 pitches, that's all. It's a lot of signs to have to give, isn't it?
I would say so.
Musgrove was a key part of the trade with the Astros, where Garrett Cole went to the Astros and several players came to Pittsburgh, and last year he dealt with some injuries. So he only had 19 starts for the Pirates. But Clint Hurdle wants more. Something must be funny with Clint and Ray Sears today.
Yeah. They're giggling over there, aren't they?
I'm going to have to find out about that.
Here's an 0-2.
Pretty close with both those guys. I think Clint would be most likely to tell me they're still thinking something's funny.
Ray credits the great George Kissel for getting him involved in coaching. And those fingerprints of George are all over Major League Baseball. Not just the Cardinals, but everywhere around baseball. Ray told me that might have been his greatest influence in the game. George Kissel. Here's a 1-2 and a foul ball.
Several people would say that.
Sure. I was thinking about this the other day. You know, I'm sure there's some as Carpenter's limping around and hopefully he's all right. But I've had some say, well, what would George Kissel say about the game today? You know, how would he think how the game is played? And I said, knowing George a little bit like I did, I think George would just say, well, I'll adapt to the game.
Right.
And we'll figure out how to play the game that is being played now. And he'll make the necessary changes.
And he would be a step ahead of other people who would be thinking about that.
Yes.
How do you adapt to the way it is and get that special edge for the way the game is right now? And that's not just for players. That's for coaches and managers, too, because he spent a lot of time teaching people how to lead people, too. That was as much as deposit in this game as it was coaching himself.
Bell backhands, throw behind Musgrove. Nice play by Musgrove to make the adjustment on that throw. And that's the first out.
And speaking, Dan, of coaching and coaching coaches, we have several young people here at the ballpark today. I had a chance to be a part of the Scholar Athlete ceremony here, where all of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Scholar athletes from all of the high schools in the greater St. Louis area, they're here with their family and in some cases their coaches, and they're celebrating being their school's top Scholar athletes. So I want to congratulate them on our broadcast, and it's always great to be around those young people who excel in both the classroom and in sports. Mike Myers and I were together and had a chance for them to meet Mike Myers, and education very important to him. He had some great things to say to those young people.
Now, my brother was a Scholar athlete, and as you might have surmised, I was not.
I would actually have guessed you would have been, Dan.
No, sir. I was just if they had well, let's just say a guy that, the award to
we'll just get through and move on. I was that guy. But I love sports.
The mediocre award? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Didn't mean to label you that way.
Thanks a lot.
Just trying to help you in the description.
2-1, hit in the air out to center. And Marte with the catch, out number 2.
I don't believe that for a minute.
I studied the things I was interested in. Cabrera, Marte, and Polanco in the outfield. Moran, Tucker, Frazier, and Bell on the infield, and Cervelli is behind the plate around the horn, presented by Dobbs.
Cole Tucker, the shortstop, my first chance to see him, and he would have been under the tutelage of George Kissel. His father would have. His father was a minor league player with the Cardinals in 1984, and George certainly would have been involved in coaching at all levels again. I'm sure he would have some George Kissel stories as well.
Two balls and no strikes. Carpenter grounded out. Goldschmidt fly to center. And now a 2-0 pitch to Paul DeYoung. Pulled foul. I would say the impact of George Kissel felt maybe most prominently inside the Cardinal dugout with one Mike Schilt.
No doubt.
Still keeps the book of George's teachings on his desk, prominently displayed, and travels with it. 2-2.
One of the several pictures he has up in his office, and just love looking at the photos in his office. All the Cardinal Hall of Famers and National Baseball Hall of Famers and the guys that he admires. But of course, he's got a picture of he and Red Cheney's together, but also that wonderful photo of Dave Ricketts and George Kissel.
Full count, and Mike has told me that he's made decisions in the game, whether it be now as a major league manager or in the minor leagues, and then goes back and he said, I've already got the book memorized, but I just go back and check. George says to do this in this spot. Okay, I did it. Good. Move on. And DeYoung hits it out to center field. Marte is there. And the Cardinals go 1-2-3. Cervelli, Moran, and Tucker coming up. The game on television. You can stream games live on your mobile device. Download the Fox Sports Go app. Log in, stream the Cardinals, presented by T-Mobile. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis as the homestand continues. Game 1 of 4 between the Cardinals and the Pirates. There's Cervelli, a free agent to be. I've always felt he was a nice fit with the Pirates.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job.
Oh, yeah. He can hit, that's for sure. But he's been able to handle with some energy the changing pitching staff of the Pirates. Of course, he's got to be lockstep with Ray Searage. We give him credit a lot for what he does, but Cervelli's got to be a part of that too. The Pirates pitching has been a big plus this year, and I'm not sure a lot of folks saw that coming.
The Pirates starting tonight, the first game, 11-game road trip through St. Louis, Arizona, and then San Diego. And a curveball taken low. And two guys from Venezuela that are close outside the game, meaning between the white lines, and their thoughts on and prayers are with family and friends in Venezuela. No question about that. I've talked to Francisco a couple of times about that. We, of course, have told the story of Jose Martinez with his family there, but there's so much unrest. The government, the military, the people. It's scary. Ground ball, backhanded by Carpenter, and makes the play. Even Mike Schilt weighed in on the situation a couple of days ago in his office, talking about Jose Martinez. And he said, you're talking about elite players, Cervelli, Martinez, others from Venezuela, that once the game starts or the practice or weightlifting, whatever that is involving the game, they're able to, you know, put that to one part of their life and then still be able to focus baseball, family, friends, those kind of things outside the game.
And it's pretty extraordinary to be able to compartmentalize, and it's almost like too harsh a word to think about when you're dealing with family and your home country. I mean, it's so deep. I don't know how it doesn't bleed over into every moment of your life. So to give them credit, it's maybe 10 times harder than all of us think it is for them to do just what you said. And, you know, it isn't just the environment there, the political environment, but there's just a lot of economic issues going on as well. But a lot of people with needs there.
Food, medicine, money. And when the players get their checks, a lot of them will, you know, put it in the bank and then take out a certain amount of money and send some of that money to Venezuela. And they hope, fingers crossed, it gets to their family. And they're not sure if it does. I was talking to Jose about that. He said, yeah, I take every check, portion of it, send it back home for my family. And there are times that it just doesn't make it there. They'll go through all the mail and search it, look for it. And that also includes basic necessities of just, you know, clothing, things of that nature that Jose has said he sent home, and sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't. Here's a 3-2 pitch to Colin Moran, and missed inside in a 1-out walk. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Steak and Shake. Get 4 meals with 4 items for $4. 444. Get more for 4 only at Steak and Shake. Here's Cole Tucker, the switch hitter. Lifts it in the air, left center. There's Marcell Ozuna with the catch. Moran back to the bag at first. And we talk about the lovable, laughing Jose Martinez, just to finish the thought on this. And it goes back to when I first talked to him about not being called up by the Royals when he wins a batting championship and they go on to win the World Series, or when items don't get to Venezuela. He smiles at you and says, what can you do?
He just moves on.
Just move on, exactly.
I had a chance to visit with him during the winter warm-up, which is such a great thing. And of course, at the time they were talking about the Cardinals outfield, and no one was talking about him anymore. And he hit 300, for goodness sakes, and he was just kind of an afterthought. I wonder if that ball may have clipped Yachty.
Watch this. Went inside the chest protector.
He's saying he's okay, but that's unique.
It's Chris Conroy, the trainer of the St. Louis Cardinals, one of them there with Mike Schilt. Well, this one didn't stick to the chest protector.
Right.
It went in.
That would have been more unusual, and we did see that before.
Oh, yeah.
But Jose said during the winter warm-up, after kind of being, I would say, almost dissed a little bit about not really being promoted as what kind of year he had. Not bitter about that at all.
No.
And actually asked him about, you know, and he has no animosity. There's no bitterness at all in that man. I'm just impressed by his ability to just move on.
I know I'd be upset, you know, that
Kind of
many years in the minor leagues.
Kind of upset for him.
He can hit. 0-2 the count with 2 outs. Runner at first. Musgrove at the plate. And a fly ball to right field. And there's Jose Martinez. Ozuna, Martinez, Molina coming up. Cardinals looked some offense here the last week or so. More on that
Let's check in with Jim Hayes.
Yeah, the Cardinal offense has been good this season, but the bats have gone rather cold over the last week or so. In fact, over the last 7 games coming into tonight, the Cardinals averaging just 2.6 runs per game. That over their last 7, hitting a collective .213 during that stretch. Paul DeYoung told me he's confident things are about to heat up. He said, we just have to get back to what we normally do. It's about having a good approach, then passing the baton to the next guy. We have to flush what happened in the last week. Dan, Paul says this lineup is too good to stay quiet.
1 run now in the last 22 innings for the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Marcell Ozuna.
So there's been a power drought with it, Dan. There's also been the inability to go first to third because there's not enough base runners. You get the big inning early, so you can't run, and so you add that to the low numbers with runners in scoring position, and it's just a bad formula right now. And it could change in a heartbeat.
Musgrove faced the Cardinals 3 times a year ago. 1-2, ERA about a 4.5. That's it out of play. Last start for Musgrove was on Friday, and it was a short one. 7 runs, 5 of the 7 earned. He went 2 2/3, and that was a 14-1 loss to the Oakland A's. Here's a 1-1. That pitch there is the pitch that is getting a lot of hitters out. His slugging percentage against that slider is .209 this year. That may have been a curveball there, but that's a good one. And Ozuna fouls it back. Only Verlander, Tanaka, Garrett Cole, who he's traded for, have been better with a slider in all of baseball. Ozuna 0 for his last 11, trying to change that here. The 1-2 pitch.
Just feel like you just kind of have to get something started, and then maybe the flow will happen. Everybody will just relax collectively, but somebody's got to take the lead.
Three and two.
Think about a basketball team, Dan, and they used to say, well, you got to knock the lid off the basket. It's just nobody's scoring, but then somebody makes a 3, then the next guy does, then the next guy does, and all of a sudden you got it working.
All right, this is start, huh?
Walks count.
MLB ballpark app. Complete your next visit to Busch Stadium. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem special check-in offers, access exclusive content, much more. Download the MLB ballpark app today. Jose Martinez checks in at .343 with his average. 2 home runs. He's driven in 16. So Bader on the bench again tonight. Martinez, Fowler, Ozuna, that trio in the outfield. It's really a balancing act right now for Mike Schilt. What direction to go with his outfield. But if you perform, you play. Now, he did talk about Ozuna. He said Ozuna's the kind of guy with the track record and an elite hitter. So you expect him to be in the lineup every single day. But the other 3, it's, you kind of balance what you got. And throwing Tyler O'Neill has gone down and hit 3 home runs. I mean, there's others.
So what Mike was saying, he says, I have to mix and match that day based on what we need, depending on who's pitching for us. What kind of defense do you need in the outfield? Fly ball pitcher, you might want to have Bader because he's the best outfielder of the bunch. Right-handed pitcher for the other team, that may not be his strong suit because the right-hander is going to throw a lot of breaking balls to him. And again, it depends on which right-hander is it. Is it a guy that throws a lot of sliders? You mentioned the success
that Musgrove has had. Well, that's not a good mix with Bader.
0-2 pitch. And a base hit into right field. Ozuna to second, on his way to third. On 0-2. Just goes with it, and a base hit into right.
I think you said something about that man can hit.
The man can flat out hit.
Well, can Jose Martinez hit? I offer this as evidence. 0-2 off the plate. First to third. Love seeing that. Ozuna has been doing that as much as anybody. I like the way Ozuna's been running the bases this year. He has been, for the most part, very, very good. And maybe the Cardinals knocked that cover off the basket.
Cardinals had been 1 for 19, Ricky, with a runner on base the last 2 games. 1 for 19. That changes with that base hit from Jose Martinez. Runners at the corners and nobody out. Molina. And he fouled it back for strike 1.
Musgrove had a really tough start his last time out against the Oakland A's. As you mentioned, the high hit total, and you wonder, he only went 2+ innings.
It's 2 2/3.
So he's in that area now where you wonder if that's a thought in the back of his mind. He had had nothing but good starts up until the last time. If the Cardinals can keep pushing here, maybe they can get a big number against him.
Inside corner, 0-2. Yachty has been so good in these spots. 371 the average with runners in scoring position. And he struck out just 1 time this year with men in scoring position. 41 plate appearances, and that'll continue. Down the left field line, down into the corner, 1 run in. Martinez held up at third. Yachty comes through. Back-to-back hits on 0-2 pitches. And we're tied 1-1.
Danny, the aggregate batting average in Major League Baseball on 0-2 pitches is minuscule. I mean, it is low. I'm going to say 100. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, Cardinals have upped that average the last 2 batters. The pitcher should have the advantage, should be able to put you away, but you can't tell that to Jose Martinez and now Yadier Molina.
It ties Enos Slaughter 6th in Cardinals history. 366 doubles now for Yadier Molina. Shift on the right side, and now Dexter Fowler. Fowler hits it down the right field line. And a ground rule double. He'll wind up at second base. And Dexter drives in 2.
And maybe, just maybe, somebody hit that 3-point shot I was talking about earlier. Because it's just been nothing but ropes since then. Since Ozuna's walk to lead off this inning, and he worked that walk. He did a nice job of not chasing. He got aboard, and then Martinez, Molina, and Fowler. 3 straight hits.
Cardinals have their first lead in a ball game since Monday night. By the way, you're wondering, the average on 0-2 league-wide is 143.
That's a little higher than I thought.
And the Cardinals have 2 base hits this inning on 0-2 pitches. Fowler drives in 2. He's now driven in 9 this season. Back-to-back doubles. All 4 batters have reached here in the home half of the second, and the Cardinals have the lead 3-1.
It's fascinating to look, and we've done that several times on the postgame show, where you can really take all of the counts and look at the aggregate average across baseball. It is stunningly clear why pitchers need to get ahead of batters.
And they're told that too. I mean, it's talked about a lot, and the numbers are shown to the players too. I've seen it through Mike Schilt and his staff, and they'll go to a pitcher or group of pitchers and say,
Here's what happens if you have 1 and 2. This is why we want to put him away now.
Right. And that swing pitch that I talk about is so important. The 1-1 pitch, the 0-0 pitch, the first pitch you throw is a swing pitch. You're either ahead or behind. And the 1-1 pitch, what happens there? It is incredible how important that 1-1 pitch is to an outcome of a game.
There's a 1-0 pitch now to Wong, almost to the backstop. So you talked about Musgrove, and you've been there, Ricky, where you've had a bad outing. All right, 5 days later, you're back on the mound. So you include tonight and the 2 2/3 against Oakland, which he was knocked out of that game, a 14-1 loss. That's 10 runs allowed in his last 3 2/3.
Yeah, and it does creep back into your brain. You're only human. Again, you try to forget about it, but you've had 5 days to think about it.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. Well, one thing the Cardinals do for Michael Wacha is score. 4th best run support in baseball when Wacha is on the mound. That was a game on Saturday that got away from the Cardinals with the intentional walk to get to a minor league catcher, and he hits a grand slam.
And Wacha had a lead in that game.
Yes, he did. It was 5-1 at that point. Cardinals eventually lost 6-5. It's getting almost 9 runs of support per game. 2-1 pitch to Colton Wong, and a grounder foul. So Michael Wacha, Lester, Buehler, Woodruff, Fried, and Michael Wacha all in the top 5 in terms of highest run support in the National League.
And it's probably why he's 2-0 instead of 0-2, or maybe 0-4. Some no decisions in there too, where his team has helped him out.
The 2-2 pitch. Full count on Wong with Michael Wacha on deck. Mentioned it yesterday. Wong had been struggling, 0 for his last 13, 2 for his past 22. So the day off. Let's see if he can't get a pitch to drive here on 3-2. And a strikeout. First strikeout for Musgrove. But with a slider.
Colton chased this just a little bit, but at that point he wasn't sure how much it would break. It was off the plate. Would not have been a called strike, but it was just too close for him to take. And he's also trying to hit the ball to the right side of the infield too. To pull it, just came up empty.
Here's Michael Wacha with 1 out. And Fowler at second base. Remember, Wacha had a pretty good day offensively for the Cardinals last Saturday.
Had the double down the left field line. Base hit that drove in a couple.
I'm confused why the Pirates were expecting bunt there.
With 1 out.
Yeah, Bell was way in on the grass. Now he's backed up 10 steps probably onto the dirt.
And he bunts into a double play, and Fowler has to get back to second. He wanted to take off. Should have been a double play. Musgrove had plenty of time, and the Cardinals catch a break in an RBI opportunity coming up now for Matt Carpenter.
Well, obviously the Pirates knew something I didn't know. I mean, I don't think this is a bunt situation. He's trying to bunt for a hit there. He must be. And woo, that was airmail.
His reaction, and then Dexter actually started to go from second to third and realized,
and remember,
got to get back.
I still have to tag up.
That's right.
I think when there's a man on second base and you've got 2 shots to drive him in, take your shots.
So 2 outs, runner at second base.
especially with the offensive prowess you were talking about from Wacha his last time out.
Carpenter grounded out first time up. Shift on the right side. It's interesting, the 3-2 pitch to Colton Wong, and again, always hard as an 8th place hitter in the National League, first base open. But I think more and more, and I was talking with Dan Hyatt today, who does a lot of our research and helps us out with different things. I said, you know, Dan, you just don't see fastballs anymore on 3 and 2. And sure enough, the numbers bear that out. With 2 strikes this season, fastball usage going back to 2014. I think this is very interesting. League wide, about 49% of the time a hitter would see a fastball. And now it's down to 46. And that's a lot considering how many 2-strike at bats you'll see in baseball tonight, and then added up for 162.
Especially with so many guys throwing 95 to 98.
Yes. And there's a walk, the second in the inning. But it has become, the further point is, in Ricky and Keel, we talked about this a lot. It's become a breaking ball league.
Yeah, definitely.
And the breaking ball has jumped by 5% usage since 2014.
And one of the reasons for that is you're using more pitchers per game, so you can just say, hey, go ahead and throw 8 breaking balls, and we'll bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
Throw a nasty slider until your arm falls off, and we'll bring in another guy, or bring another guy up from AAA, or draft somebody else.
And this is a good example of a player that's just not seeing a lot of fastballs, because he's hitting .309 against the fastball and .262 against non-fastballs, and that's how the Phillies pitched him. A lot of breaking balls. And he singles up the middle. Fowler waved in, and the throw not in time. He scores standing up. Goldschmidt comes through. He needed that. It's a 2-out RBI single to make it 4-1.
Nice to see the Cardinals put up a big number early. Several Cardinals hard hit balls, including that breaking ball that Goldschmidt takes back up the middle, and that's one way to get him to stop throwing it to you.
Ricky, he had a streak of 60 straight plate appearances without an RBI. So that changes with that single up the middle. And now it's Paul DeYoung. 2 outs and 2 on.
I would not bet against Paul Goldschmidt hitting .300, hitting 30 home runs, and driving in 100 runs.
I'd take that bet too.
Yeah, I think he's just proven that that's who he is. Last year he had a worse start than he's had this year by far.
30th pitch of the inning is a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, if he wasn't thinking about his last outing when you and I were thinking about it, I bet he is now.
No doubt. And the 1-1 pitch popped foul and out of play. 1-2. It also, it's got to creep into his mind too that I'm not putting hitters away with 2 strikes, so where's my stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things you go through in your head when you're wearing a bad game is, okay, what adjustments do I have to make? What did I do wrong? And so you think those things through, and you say, well, that's what I did wrong, and I gave up 7 runs. Okay, I'm going to do this. Now you do whatever it is you're doing today. You're either still doing those same things, or you got more things wrong, and it just compounds for a pitcher.
And a swing and a miss. See, Carpenter started towards third. You got to wonder if that messed up DeYoung a little bit as he looks back at both runners. But regardless, the Cardinals
Ricky asking for offense. He receives 4-1. We head to the
Kawaka, inning number 3 and a 4-1 lead. Top of the lineup, Adam Frazier looks at strike 1. And Frazier lifts it in the air to right, and it sinks, drops in for a base hit. And a leadoff hit. Marcell Ozuna, I was in the room helping guide this shoot. He said, Marcell, how about all these bobblehead? I love them. And he had a little fun with it. So there it is. You got the Marcell Ozuna bobblehead coming up. And you're just not sure which compression sleeve, what color it may be. And it's courtesy of AAA Insurance. And that's coming up on May 24th.
Man loves life, doesn't he?
He does. Here's Starling Marte. Marte, along with Polanco, good numbers against Michael Wacha.
Pirates center fielder 8 for 30 with a home run against the Redbird right-hander. Popped up to the right side. Goldschmidt over and out of play.
Dan, I would say even casual baseball fans that maybe watch a couple of games a year, maybe
don't know all the intricacies about the game, they would even say and know what I'm about to say next. It's a pretty obvious statement. But Michael Wacha coming back out to pitch after his team supports him the way they did, his job, put up a 0 as fast as possible.
No question about it.
I mean, it's not really a genius statement, Dan, but it is so important, so important. And you'd also like to see him do it quickly too. Just settle into this 4-1 lead.
He had that odd start against San Diego where he couldn't find the strike zone. A lot of pitches.
8 walks.
Yes.
And the 2-1 pitch. Did go 2-2. Walks per 9 in his career, or right around 3. This year it's over 6 for Michael Wacha. Now it's early and that can change, but it does give you a little insight into the fact that he's walked way more than normal than what we've seen. The 2-2 pitch to Marte. Line foul.
I always thought when you're evaluating a pitcher, 3 walks per 9 is okay. That's good. 2 is better. You can get 2 per 9. The exceptional ones are even lower than that. And I think that's true of relievers, starters. You look at some of the guys who have been the most exceptional. Look at Dennis Eckersley's numbers just for fun one day about how low his walk totals were per 9 as both a starter and a reliever. It's just incredible how much of a strike thrower he was.
Inside corner and a strikeout for Wacha. First strikeout of the night for Michael Wacha. Goes inside, and look, Yachty didn't even move the glove. Hits his spot and picks up strikeout number 1. The batter is Gregory Polanco, homer to right. Back in the first inning as the Pirates jumped out to a 1-0 lead. The Cardinals answered with 4 in the home half of the second. Dennis Eckersley, by the way, was barely over 2 per 9 for an entire career. And a base hit. into the gap, and that will roll all the way to the wall. Adam Frazier will score. Polanco will stop at second base and cuts the lead to 4-2. Got a home run and now a double. So he's driven in 2 and now up to 7. Remember, he started the year on the injured list.
This time it's a fastball down and away. That's not a terrible spot. A little surprised that he turned on it as well as he did. Maybe the ball didn't have enough life to it, but he certainly didn't have any trouble squaring that one up again. And we talked about the hot hitters in their lineup. We talked about Bell and Cabrera. I guess we need to add Polanco to that list.
So 1 out and a runner at second base, and now Josh Bell. Bell singled off the glove of Paul Goldschmidt. First time up. And he lifts a high fly ball. Left center calling for it. Fowler makes the catch. Thrown to third, not in time. Polanco tagging up from second to third. Reminder that Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. By Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the St. Louis area. Find yours at your Mid-America Chevy dealer. And by Steak and Shake, get 4 meals with 4 items for $4. 444, get more for 4. Only at Steak and Shake. Mentioned earlier, home run allowed by Wacha. 62 now by the Cardinals staff. But 42 of the 62 have been solo shots. So that's at least a positive look at the home runs given up. Polanco stranded at third after the ground out. It's now 4-2. Blues are in the conference finals. Fox Sports Midwest has you covered throughout the series. Post-game coverage from the team that knows the St. Louis Blues best. Blues live post-game after every game of the playoffs. Keep it going. Yes, sir. Let's go Blues. I was getting a kick out of seeing the social media updates on one of our favorites, Bob Plager, who is, of course, at the games, but yet wouldn't watch. He was in the hallways and checking his phone and too nervous. He's not alone. Here's Marcell Ozuna. It's gut-wrenching when you watch those games, but man, you'd rather have it that way than be out of the postseason.
I'm so swept up in what's going on with the Blues. I had to watch the Avs and the Sharks.
I did too.
Game 7. I didn't want to. And that, by the way, an outstanding game. A lot of excitement in it. Playoff hockey is something else. And when your boys are in it, even better.
The thing is about baseball postseason, just get in. You just don't know. 06 and 11 showed us that. And the 2-0 is hit down the right field line and out of play. I've seen some of the photos and video of Pat Maroon and that goal together. It just gives you chills. His son in tears.
I wonder what some of the scenes were like just in homes across the area after that goal, Dan. One of my favorite videos that we've ever seen is the reaction video that the Cardinals made after winning the World Series in 06. Kind of what those moments were like, and they had all these videos and they put it to music, and it was people just jumping up and down. They had them send it in from their homes. I bet the Blues fans could have made their own video.
No question. 2-2 pitch. That video was put together by Matt Shedd of our
it's my favorite
department here, video department, with Craig Wilson and Jared Hawkup and many others, but he actually collected that off of YouTube. He found the YouTube reactions of fans. That's down and in, and put it to the music of Some Nights, that song Some Nights.
And the next year in 12, when teams are coming through, they had that up on the video board that year. And it was such a great video put together that Joey Votto actually inquired about it and wanted a copy so he could show his teammates what winning was like for a city. How cool is that?
I think it's a great idea for Joey Votto to do that, frankly.
So 2 walks for Ozuna, and now it's Jose Martinez.
You know, if your core group of players at the big league level, Dan, they don't know what they're missing with October baseball, then the drive is going to be a little different. Of course, the Cardinals have not made the playoffs for a few years now. That needs to change. I think the management knows that needs to change.
Yep.
That's why Goldschmidt's a Cardinal, Andrew Miller's a Cardinal.
It's about the future, but it's also win now.
Well, winning now helps the future.
Brad Wood Jr. was also a part of the Cardinals video department and scoreboard crew. These guys do a great job. I love that video, though. I never get sick of seeing it.
Agreed.
See something different every time. Here's a 1-1 pitch to Jose Martinez. High fly ball into right center.
Marte back and makes the catch, tagging up Ozuna from first to second. Again, good base running by Marcel. Went first to third on the single back in the second inning.
Well, it makes it a productive out for Martinez, and Ozuna tags up. And here's what he notices. That ball's in front of him, so he's got time. It's going to be deep enough. And by tagging up and it's in front of him, he can watch the throw coming in. If it's a terrific throw, you could always go back. If it's an off-line throw, then you know you're going to be safe. I mean, you've got so much advantage on that particular play, first to second. You can get halfway to second and you see the throw, and if it happens to be Rick Ankiel out there, you could take that right turn because the throw is going to have to come all the way in. They won't double you off. You have time to get back.
Here's Molina, doubled, first time up, and grounds it left side, deep in the hole, and that'll be a base hit. Knocked down by Cole Tucker. Trying to make that play all in one motion. Get it, pop up, and make the throw. If he gets it cleanly, you might have a chance to get him.
So here's Yachty with his second hit, and it's Ozuna being careful that if he did come up with that play, his only play would have been perhaps Ozuna at third. So he didn't want to run into an out. It's a calculated decision. Now, would he be on third? Yes. But I understand why he's not.
Brings in Fowler, who doubled down in the right field corner and drove in 2 back in the second inning. Runners at first and second. And the 1-0. 1 ball and 1 strike. So shift on the right side, and Frazier, the second baseman, sometimes you'll see him, generally speaking, second baseman with a shift on the outfield grass.
It's almost like he's at double play depth within the shift. I think that's why they're doing it. If you play all the way back, you're giving up that double play possibility, and I really do think that's what they're thinking about. If that ball's hit right to him, he's at double play depth to be able to throw the ball apparently to Tucker, who's going to have a unique route to get to the second base bag, then throw to first. But you've got to think those things through.
The 2-1 pitch to Fowler. Three and 1. Colton Wong on deck.
We talked to Clint Hurdle about when things changed for the Pirates, and he said much of it was due to analytics and the shift. Didn't want to buy into it. Said, I'm in the final year of my deal. If I'm going down, I might as well try going down with something else. And things changed in a hurry. Talent helps too.
Oh yeah.
3-1 pitch. 83 miles an hour. Floats in for a strike. And they were one of the first teams that actually traveled with a coach or strategy coach, if you will, that would go in and talk to the players as to why they were shifting.
There may be other teams that did it first, but the first team I remember shifting on different counts was Clint Hurdle and the Pirates.
Yep.
The difference between a 1-1, 2-0, 3. I mean, they shifted all the time.
3-2 pitch. Fowler, a ground ball foul. I give him credit, though. I mean, that's a guy that I think was perceived for a while as old school, managed that way, played in an era where obviously analytics were no part of the game, and said, look, we got to try something different. And they did, and it worked. Give him credit. And Fowler picks up another base hit. Ozuna will score. First to third goes Yachty. And that makes it 5-2 St. Louis. And Fowler 2 for 2, and he's driven in 3.
And he really is hitting the ball with more authority in 2019. I mean, the ball's just jumping off the bat of Dexter Fowler. Keeps his hands inside the ball and smokes it to right. Very balanced, simple swing from Dexter. And he picks up another RBI.
And again, another 2-strike hit, too, for the Cardinals. And those are starting to pile up against this starter, Joe Musgrove, and a visit from Ray Searage. And now a quick word from Great Southern Bank.
Bought enough food for the entire section? We understand. Great Southern Bank. We're fans too.
With Jim Hayes, Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. 5-2 Cardinals here in the bottom of the third. Colton Wong with runners at first and third, and still only one out. We've seen the ability of Colton with pitches out of the zone in this spot elevated to get that fly ball and drive a runner in.
Yeah. I'm not so sure a bunt's not on the table here, too. You know, Josh Bell, particularly if he bunts the ball to the right side, he is not an accomplished fielder yet. He's working at it, but that's not his strong suit.
And a right-hander throwing in the pen for the Pirates, Clay Holmes. One out. First and third. And another check to allow, I'm sure, Holmes to get some more time to get loose. Part of it. There's strike one.
So Colton has had several RBIs, and he's had several with 2 outs too. There's just 1 out here, but he has come through an awful lot in 2019. It's been a drought for him too the last week or so. The average has dipped, but he's found ways to get RBIs, as you mentioned. Drive that ball into the outfield.
Softly hit to second. They'll get the lead man, and Wong safe. Hustling down the line. 6-2 Cardinals.
And this is one of those at-bats that you're glad you didn't hit the ball very well. He gets jammed, and by getting jammed, it takes forever to get to Frazier, and they try to turn it as fast as they possibly can, but a fielder's choice and an RBI for Colton Wong.
It scores Yadier Molina, and it brings in Waka.
And another good example of why the second baseman was playing where he was playing, to at least give him a chance at a double play.
Hard hit ball, that could be 2.
Agreed.
Oh, 2 the count. Oh, 2 pitch to Michael Waka.
And now Musgrove steps off. Here she comes. And a strikeout of Waka. Cardinals, though, pick up 2 more. And the run support continues for Michael. It's 6-2. Now T-Mobile's connection to the game. Joey Gallo, first player in the history of the game. 100 home runs before reaching 100 singles. He has 93. Chris Bryant on Tuesday. Jason Hayward on Wednesday. Walk-off homers, the Brewers. Cardinals swept them in St. Louis. About 10-3, including 6 wins in a row. And that's your T-Mobile connection to the game. And I need to add to it Albert Pujols with a home run that resulted in his 2,000th run batted in.
Yeah, congratulations to Albert, and we will see him here at Busch Stadium this summer. Looking forward to that.
Let's check in with the one and only Jim Hayes.
Danny Carlos Martinez made his second rehab appearance yesterday as he threw a scoreless inning for Memphis. 23 pitches, 12 strikes. Mike Schilt liked the report on Carlos. Schilt said this: for you velocity fiends, he was 95 to 98, so check the box, you guys. Good fastball, worked around a couple walks. His slider was his out pitch. Schilt says Carlos will pitch for Memphis again tomorrow. Schilt says Carlos's rehab assignment could last another 10 to 14 days, but Dan Schilt says it's a fluid situation.
Yeah, fluid, 10 to 14 days, and so a couple weeks out, basically.
Be great to have him back. He's just such a weapon, and you know the velocity. It's interesting, and use the term velocity fiends. There's a lot of attention on that, but Mike Schilt does believe that Carlos has enough weapons with his changeup and his nasty slider. He doesn't need the extra velocity. I think that's part of why he brought that up, because he said in his office a week or so ago, look, the man can pitch. He's a flat-out pitcher. He's not just a thrower.
Cervelli hits the deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, I'll say this, Cervelli, we've seen that a lot in the times that Cardinals and the Pirates hook up, because he dives a little bit over the plate. And you may remember he also had a broken hand for a while. He wears a protective guard on his elbow. And I'm not saying that wasn't up and in, but he does lean out over the plate as the pitch is coming.
Well, he leans, and because he's been hit and hurt and put on the injured list several times, he's a little sensitive about that.
Sure.
I don't blame him.
He was hit 15 times last year. And a diving catch it short by DeYoung.
And that's the way pitching and defense should go together. You throw strikes, give your defense a chance. And boy, just barely getting to that ball is Paul DeYoung. And Mr. Waka approves.
I want to go back to your visit with Mike Myers today. How's he feeling?
Well, it's funny. I actually asked him in front of all of our scholar athletes about how he's doing. He said, well,
I am going to go have another appointment tomorrow. I'm going to see the trainers tomorrow, and they'll tell me how I'm doing. That was his answer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
They'll tell me. And so, he's just being cautious about it. He's got a lat issue, and that's, it's just a kind of a tedious process. That's something that Alex Reyes has dealt with. Carlos Martinez has dealt with, a lat issue. And, it's kind of like, I want to say, the new injury. The guy's getting stronger and working harder in the upper body. I think that's just an injury we're seeing more than we did 15 years ago.
No doubt. 1-2 with one out, nobody on. Colin Moran at the plate. And the next by Michael Wacha. Hit out of play. Colin Moran walked back in the second inning. There's been a couple of times that Michael Wacha has been close to a no-hitter. Had that debut first time he saw Washington and his rookie season, almost no-hit them, and almost did it a year ago as Ozuna will make the catch. And there's 2 away.
And that batter, Colin Moran, was unfortunately the guy that broke it up on the 3rd of June when Michael Wacha had the no-hitter going, and he was outstanding that day, Dan. Everything working, the off-speed pitches. He had 8 strikeouts in that game, but there's Colin Moran just into right field. That came in the 9th inning. A terrific performance here at Busch Stadium for Michael Wacha.
The curveball taken high. Cole Tucker at the plate. It's a 7th fly ball out for Michael this far, with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. And the 1-2 pitch lifted in the air to Ozuna. So Wacha has settled in, and the Cardinals have the top of the lineup coming up. When you come to the ballpark, you've got to be paying attention at all times.
Sometimes a player will want to give you a ball, so you just kind of throw it up there, but you again have to be paying attention. In this case,
no.
That lady was not paying attention, but here's what happened following that. She was hurt, but she gets the apology, and she gets to personally meet and have a conversation with Jose Martinez.
I mean, I'd like to shake his hand and meet him too. I just don't know if I want to do it that way.
It was not his intent, obviously.
No, sir. All right, top of the lineup for the Cardinals.
We used to say head on a swivel.
That's right. And the first pitch to Carpenter, taken low. He is walked tonight and also grounded out. And the 2-0 pitch.
And how about keep pushing, Dan, on the offensive side? You're happy you got off to a nice start, a 4-run second, a 2-run third, but just keep pushing. Work on their bullpen a little bit. Affect the outcome of the rest of the series.
Momentum.
Keep the mojo going.
And another walk, and that's 4 tonight, issued by Musgrove, and that may get another reliever or 2 up and throwing. We'll see. Kubota power stats: 35 home runs allowed, 3rd fewest.
if you
That's
ever,
by the Pirates, and the Cardinals 47 hit, 9th most.
I just noticed something that I've never seen before with the bullpen phones, that there's a light that flashes when the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. It's like the bat phone down there.
Well, I think it's also in case the phones go out in terms of the ring. Now, it does ring down there, but it'll light up too.
I mean, big time lights up. Maybe we'll show that to you later.
Clay Holmes is back up, and that's second time he's been asked to get up and get hot, get loose.
Second time doesn't take as long.
Well,
if you warmed up correctly the first time.
We were wondering about all the fastballs and off-speed pitches to Goldschmidt. Against the Phillies, they threw him 18 fastballs, 32
non-fastballs, to further my point earlier that he's seeing a lot of breaking pitches. There's a fastball inside. And the 2-1 pitch to Paul Goldschmidt. Taken low.
So the problem, if you try to stay one way with a particular hitter, Dan, what if you don't have that pitch that day? What if the idea is, hey, whatever you do, don't throw him a fastball? Well, you have to throw him some. I mean, the idea is you have to feel confident enough that no matter what the pitch is, now what would you throw most often and what would you throw to get him out? Now that's a different question. So you're forced to throw him a 3-1 breaking pitch while your command is off and you walk him and dig the hole even deeper.
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about. Predictable fastball counts, traditional fastball counts, Ricky. You just don't see them anymore. Not all the time. That's going to be it. And it'll be a double switch for Clint Hurdle. 5 walks for Musgrove, and they've seen enough. Paul DeYoung coming up, and a chance to add on.
Hyatt St. Louis at the Arch, offering an incredible Cardinals package this season that includes overnight accommodations, tickets to a weekend home game, personalized slugger bat, and a $25 credit to Brew House or Red Kitchen and Bar. Book today, 655-1234, HyattRegencySt.Louis.com.
Mama called Clay. I'm going to call Clay.
Well, Clay is being called to the bullpen. And
tell me you like that movie. You better like
I do like. Oh my goodness, I love that movie.
Sorry, I had to say it. I'm moving on now.
There's so many lines from that. My goodness, I love that movie. But Kevin Newman, the shortstop, will be batting in the 9th spot with the double switch. And Clay Holmes will be making his first big league appearance this year. He got recalled from AAA with an ERA over 6. But it's very appropriate that he's pitching today because, Dan, as we mentioned earlier, it's Scholar Athlete Day at the ballpark, and he was the valedictorian of his high school.
There you go.
I think that it just all works together.
Ties in. Runners at first and second. And a ball to DeYoung, who is lined out to center and also struck out. Back-to-back walks, and that knocked out Musgrove. Career high 5 walks for him tonight. And the 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Pirates bullpen 20th in baseball. ERA about 4.5. If you take out Vasquez, their closer, it's 5.5. So good starting pitching with the bullpen, the high ERA.
So what you do is work in the entire series to take out the closer.
Inside 3-0. Clay Holmes goes into the 8th spot in the lineup for the Pirates. And the new shortstop Newman He'll go in the 9th spot and lead it off
next inning. The 3-0 pitch. And that's a walk, and they've loaded up for Marcell Ozuna.
Boy, walks just become an instant rally sometimes, don't they? All you had to do is stand up there. I mean, this has just been a great gift to the Cardinals here today. All the walks issued by the Pirates staff, and Ozuna can do a knockout blow here.
Last 13 pitches have been balls. Marcell Ozuna with the bases loaded. And a breaking pitch drops in for a strike. Ozuna, a pair of walks, 2 runs scored. Inside, 1-1. This is where you have to make them pay, and this could be the knockout blow in this game, even though we're only in the 4th. They have walked, the bases loaded. With the cleanup man, Ozuna, and Martinez on deck. The 1-1. 1-2.
I know what I want to hear.
Grand Slammer.
Grand Slammer. I'm ready.
So am I. And a strikeout.
I'm still ready.
So am I.
That's a pretty good breaking ball right there to Ozuna. That had sharp downward action.
Last grand slam hit by the Cardinals, Patrick Wisdom, September of last season. Martinez owns a grand slam. We've talked about how at times, though, he can get a little over anxious in these spots.
Yeah. Let it come to you.
Yep. 1 out, bases loaded.
Always seemed to me that the good hitters are always thinking about driving the ball right center, right-handers, or up the middle, and then you react on the ball in without thinking about it, and you might run into one and hit it deep. But if you try to hit it deep to left, you're more apt to pull off of it, and you just negated the whole rest of the field.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Jose Martinez. Backs up for a ball. Now, in these spots, though, this year, it's early, much better than at times when it was really frustrating for him. And it seemed like it was happening almost every night, and he did into a double play or something poor would happen. But with runners in scoring position this season, 375 the average. That leads the team, and now he's in the driver's seat, 2-0.
People may say, oh, he should take this pitch. I say no.
No.
Let it rip, baby.
But it's got to be your pitch.
Oh, yeah. Well, you create a smaller strike zone.
Yes.
In your own mind, the strike zone is about half as big as what it is. That's where you want it. That's where you like it. If it's not there, don't swing.
The 2-0 pitch. You can hear him scream up here. That's something we've become accustomed to. Pitch inside, you high.
And that was not in his little strike zone, by the way. It was almost in his grill.
Now on 3-0, what would you say?
I say the same thing.
Agreed.
Now I would also say that little strike zone gets a little smaller.
Yes.
Make it, what I would say, maybe 5 inches square. Middle in. Fastball.
Ooh, what a rip.
That was middle in. That was
what a rip.
That was in that box. That little box I'm talking about. And he knows it. Look at that location. That is exactly where he should be swinging 3-0, even with the bases loaded.
Three balls, 1 strike. And the next two, Martinez. Taken low. He draws a walk with the bases loaded to make it 7-2. That's the fourth walk in the inning. Jose wasn't sure that that was ball four, and neither was Cervelli or Holmes.
Well, it wasn't. And I will say this inning, not to be a Pirate apologist, but they have not had a very good zone to work with this inning. At least 3 pitches of bench strikes that were called balls, and that has just added some extra stress to them.
Jose Martinez has scored a run, now driven in his 17th tonight, and here's Yachty. And the bases remain loaded. And there's strike one. And there are some that would say after a walk there, do you take a strike?
And I would say no to that too.
Yeah.
If it's a pitch you like, swing it. The other thing that happens when you swing at that pitch and you're aggressive, Dan, if you lose your aggressiveness, that adds value to the pitcher. So if Yachty takes the first pitch and takes till he gets a strike, the pitcher's now maybe thinking, okay, I can get this guy. But you swing at that first pitch, have a big rip at it, now you back him off a little bit again.
And that's outside, and it's 2-1. And I think Clint Hurdle and Ray Searage are about ready to pull their hair out, because the Pirates have walked now, including tonight and yesterday, 15. They had 8 walks against Texas yesterday, and already tonight 7. The 2-1 pitch to Molina. Yachty with a fly ball into right center, up the wall, and it's off the wall. 1 run in, and only 1 will score. So off the wall, it's a single. 1 run comes in, and it's now 8-2.
There's the long fly ball, and how far from being out off the top of the wall? To me, 2 runs should score on that. You should be halfway if you're Paul DeYoung. And I mean, where else can you be?
And I'm sure he'll tell you what he was looking at. He thought it was going to be caught, and he's going to tag up from second to third. And it winds up being nearly a 400-foot single for Yadier Molina.
So almost 4 RBIs and only 1. You still take it, though.
The Pirates, by the way, with only 2 mound visits left and a lot of baseball left to be played. Dexter's had a big night already. Double and a single. He's driven in 3. And he looks at strike 1. Shift on the right side with the bases loaded and 1 out. 0-1 pitch to Fowler. 0-2.
Normal depth for the outfielders. Fowler's goal, hit it into the outfield somewhere. Get that run in.
StatCast AI powered by AWS.
So that line is the expectation, Dan, of where if Fowler can hit the ball that far, it should be with all of the numbers thrown together, deep enough to score Paul DeJong. That's his goal.
And now another 0-2 pitch. Slowly hit. Bell missed it. He missed it. And 2 runs will come in to score. 10-2 Cardinals.
Well, Bell was trying to do too much. Again, defense is not his forte. He tried to get it on the backhand. He was thinking, I'm going to be as fast as I can be. And Yadi's now at second base wondering, wait a minute, that hit scored 2 runs and my score wouldn't? What's going on here?
Makes it a 10-2 Cardinals lead. And now it's an error charge to Bell. And here's Kolten Wong with 2 runners on. And a strike. If you're wondering about that green line and the fly ball that has to get that deep, it takes into account the speed of the runners
right
on base and also the strength of the arms.
Exactly.
Here's the 0-1.
Well, you've got really strong arms, especially in center field and right. Marte on that ball Yadi hit, we got to give him some credit too. He's an outstanding outfielder. He's got plus arm, and so does Polanco.
Cabrera as well. Wong, base hit into right center. Another one will come in to score. Fowler held up at third, and Kolten Wong an RBI double to make it 11-2.
Now the Cardinals starting to feel it, and they're on the other side of a big score. They know the feeling of being down this many runs. It's happened a few times, but they are having a blast here tonight. And Pop Warner's been really busy with the windmill. Kolten Wong, a sigh of relief. Second RBI for Kolten, but his first hit here today.
Also career double number 100, and now Michael Wacha.
Crowd's buzzing a little bit, Dan. They're enjoying this, as they should be.
And the 0-1 pitch to Michael Wacha. Playing the infield back, down by 9. 11-2 our score, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Second and third. Michael Wacha tonight tried to bunt his way on. Popped out and struck out. 1-2 the count.
The only reason I think I might play the infield in, and I think now I'd really do it 1-2. I'd move him in now. I know it's a big lead, I get it, but Michael Wacha, the pitcher hitting.
How hard is he going to hit it?
How hard is he going to hit it? Right.
And a strikeout of Wacha. That's number 2 for Holmes. And it brings in Matt Carpenter. A couple of walks and a run scored tonight.
Well, everybody's played a part in this so far. A team effort.
So the Cardinals will bat around. It started with a walk by Carpenter. Everybody in this lineup has scored with the exception of Wong and Wacha. 11-2. A ball and a strike. Hits it sharply into the shift and handled by Frazier. Yachty almost had the grand slam. Turned out to be a long single. And then the misplay by Bell. That led to 2 more. Big inning for St. Louis. Yachty flavors of Puerto Rico. Christmas in Paradise. It's coming up Thursday, May 23rd. You can be a part of it. Info at YachtierMolina4.com to get more information. Says nurses love Yachty.
Everybody loves Yachty.
Yeah, they're not the only ones.
But they can wear their shirts. I think that's certainly appropriate.
Here's Kevin Newman, part of the double switch. All right, Newman. He's probably never heard that before.
I bet he has.
Breaks his bat and lines it foul. 0-2.
Did we say Michael Wacha gets a lot of run support? Did you say that?
I did. 4th best in baseball, and he's got a 9-run lead.
I think he wants to go up the ladder on that. I bet he's better than 4th in baseball right at the moment.
He's averaging about 14 pitches per inning tonight. He came in averaging over 18 per inning, so that'll allow you to go a little deeper in a game.
And they have to find another bat for Newman. I don't think that's his. Maybe he only had one. So the rule is you're supposed to have the second bat ready to go.
Yeah.
So you don't do this.
Pick me out a winner, Bobby.
I think Mike Winters is hurrying Newman to the plate. Well, let's see if they picked him out a winner or not.
See if it's the Wonder Boy edition.
Right. Here's the 0-2 pitch.
You like that movie?
I love that movie.
Redford had a pretty good swing in that movie, I thought.
I like how he threw, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he struck out the Babe at the Carnival.
Yes, he did. Right out there in the field.
Mm-hmm. Just unfortunately that bullet caught up with him.
Yeah.
Fly ball down the right field line, but foul. Did you put a lot of money on the Knights to win that?
Well, let me say this. The most surprising thing is when all the light bulbs started blowing out at the ballpark. That was a little unusual.
Picked him out a winner. Base hit into center.
Curveball floated up a bit. It wasn't as sharp as curveball. You can really see that, Dan, on the slow-mo. It's got the spin, but it's not really breaking sharply.
It was Colin Moran's bat.
I had a feeling they couldn't find his other one. Maybe he didn't think he was going to play that much on this road trip, only brought one. Or he may have broken a couple in batting practice.
And you gave Willie your bat to make sure that he got on track, right?
No, I didn't give it to him.
He took it.
He confiscated it.
Uh-huh.
He commandeered it.
You remind him of this?
Oh, yeah, he knows about it.
Okay.
And Vince, too. Vince used my bat, too.
So we can thank you for the great success that Willie and Vince had.
I just want to say I had a small part in it. And as I've mentioned, you've heard me say this before, but I got a bat order with the grain. The grain's important on the wood, and the grain that I had was outstanding. It was thick grain, they're wide apart. It was very solid bat for the 80s version of it. And Willie's comment to me is, why is this bat being wasted on you?
Nice, Willie.
He said that in a nice way.
Uh-huh.
You know, Willie doesn't say anything
nice from Willie.
I mean, he kind of was probably shaking his head and, hey, you don't really need this, do you?
Strikeout number 2 for Michael Wacha.
So for those who haven't heard that, there's the pitch. Climb the ladder on him. There are several. I've seen photos of Willie at the plate with a bat and 49 on the knob of the bat.
The Savoy special.
Yes.
Except it was the Horton special.
C271.
Nice. A base hit into left off the bat of Marte. Robert Redford, by the way, did play baseball at the University of Colorado. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Well, you could tell him throwing in that movie. He'd done it before.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
had good spin rate.
The analytics back then were just off the charts. There's Gregory Polanco with 1 out and runners at first and second. Polanco is homered and doubled and driven in the 2 runs tonight for Pittsburgh.
Trying to think of any younger actors who were baseball players. I know Kurt Russell.
Yes.
Chuck Connors, the rifleman. They were both professional players.
Well, do you want to say that Randy Macho Man Savage was a actor?
I don't want to be caught saying that, but I understand why you are asking, Dan.
Oh, you were intimating
He was a professional wrestler.
That's correct. And that is a fair ball inside the first base line. 1 run is in, and Polanco's having a night. 3 for 3, 2 doubles, and a home run.
Like Goldschmidt wasn't sure that ball was really fair. He looked down on it and had a little mild argument with our first base umpire, Tim Timmons. But that's not really reviewable. It's in front of him. You talk about that a lot, Dan. It's not in the infield, but you can't review plays. Boy, it looked fair on that replay.
So to be replayed, it would have to be past
the umpire.
The umpire on a
Correct.
fly. So it's a double for Polanco. He drives in a run. It's Tim Timmons, the first base umpire. That makes it 11-3. Now Josh Bell. Bell had a costly error that led to a couple of runs. Leads their team in runs, hits, RBI, doubles, home runs, and walks. So he's had a bounce back season at the plate. Up the middle, and DeYoung, a diving stop from his knees. Oh, what a play. Paul DeYoung to his left. That saves a run and takes a hit away from Bell. What a play.
And gets Wacha 1 more out closer to getting through this inning. The Pirates swinging the bat this inning, and that one gets past him, but not Paul DeYoung. Great range by DeYoung, and then he gets up quickly to his knees and throws him out by a good step.
He's also had a diving catch to his right tonight. And it brings in Cabrera. Looks at a pitch low and away. I know the focus a lot of times has been on DeYoung's offense, and rightfully so. Great start, but I just think he's made massive strides defensively this year.
And hard work has been a big part of the why.
Cardinals would tell anybody last year, when you look at it analytically, the defense of Paul DeYoung, he graded out as a well beyond average shortstop defensively. 3-1. John Gant starts to throw in the Cardinal pen, and a ground ball off the bat of Melky Cabrera. Pirates pick up a couple. And Walker a little help behind him thanks to Paul DeJong. From his knees, terrific play. Lou Fuse, this date in Cardinals history, see more at Fuse.com. John Stuper, it's his birthday. And he does have a Pirate connection. That's why we bring it up tonight, and his birthday. Won Game 6 of the 1982 World Series, and you forget he pitched in 3 games in that postseason, and the Cardinals won all 3 of those games.
As a rookie, he and Dave LaPointe, both rookie pitchers in a rotation that went to the World Series, and what a great year, fantastic year that was in 1982, and John Stuper has been teaching young players baseball for a very long time at Yale.
Head coach at Yale and the second winningest coach Yale history. Of course, that guy had a big role in 1982. He's now in his 17th season at Yale. He's had a couple of guys make it to the big leagues from his program. Ryan Lavarnway was one of them. Craig Breslow another. 25, by the way, have played for John Stuper and gone to sign pro contracts. And remember Game 6 of the 82 World Series, there was a rain delay, and it was close to 3 hours, and he went the distance in Game 6. Complete game, 4 hits, gave up 1 run.
And another good tie to it being Scholar Athlete Day at the ballpark. Talking about John Stuper at Yale in that 1982 year. Dan, we had put a Twitter poll out a couple of days ago about who was the Cardinal player who was second in the MVP balloting in 1982. And I just left it at that. I said, now don't look it up. Just first thought. Who do you think it is? And
this for the World Series or for the?
Just for the year.
Okay.
For the year. Who was the MVP in the National League? Came in second. And I guess I'm putting you on the spot since you're here.
Well, I'm thinking Darryl Porter in the World Series.
Okay, but during the season, second in the National League most valuable player from that 82 season. So many guesses, you might say. Who are some of the people you might think of? I'm not going to say you're guessing them, but just throw out some of the names.
My guess would be Lonnie Smith.
You'd be correct.
Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
I had no help from the truck either. Honestly, I didn't.
How about your phone you're looking at?
I didn't look it up on the phone. It was a great guess.
No, that's your baseball knowledge of the Cardinals, but I was actually surprised to hear that because you think about
how good was his year?
It was a phenomenal year.
Obviously, but
he
I
had
mean,
over 300 and he had a ton of stolen bases too.
Base hit for Paul DeJong.
68 stolen bases.
68 for skates, huh?
But you think of Bruce Sutter, you think of George Hendrick, you think of Keith Hernandez, Ozzie Smith.
Yeah, first off my list would be Hernandez.
Yeah, or even Andujar or Bob Porter. I mean, a lot of people. And you mentioned Darryl Porter was, yes, the World Series MVP.
Sutter certainly would come to mind, the great closer.
Right. Sutter was 5th in the MVP balloting in 1982.
68 steals. He had 69 runs batted in. Lonnie Smith, he would have been the first 70-70 in those categories ever.
So the point of bringing up Lonnie is I just think we should talk about it more. He had some very good seasons for the Cardinals.
Keith Hernandez talks about the impact of Willie McGee when they made that deal, and then he made it to the big leagues, and he said it just allowed us to put Willie in center and then Lonnie at a corner position. He had Hendrick in right, Lonnie in left. And he said, when we got Willie, he said, people don't talk about that enough. Being able to utilize Lonnie properly and then put Willie in a position to shine with that defense and that spacious outfield at Busch Stadium 2 and the turf.
Lonnie played on several World Series championship teams, not just the Cardinals. I know he was on the Phillies World Championship team,
1980,
and perhaps Kansas City. I'd have to think about that, but I think he may have been on the Royals in 1985. He was.
Little chopper hit left side, and Ozuna just out. And he would have been on another one, and you may remember this, but it was the Jack Morris John Smoltz duel, one of the great World Series games ever. And Lonnie was running, and you may recall it was in Game 7 late, and he was deked by an outfielder, and he probably should have scored, but he didn't come around to score. Cost the Braves that night, and it's been a play that's been talked about,
yes,
and maybe overlooked in World Series history. Here's Jose Martinez, and you know the play I'm referring to.
I do.
What a great World Series game that was, with two of the best, Morris and Smoltz, toe to toe.
My favorite personal moment with Lonnie was him having an at-bat in spring training. I've told this story before. He's the first batter in a morning game in Tampa in spring training, and he hit a foul ball on the first pitch over our head out into the parking lot in Tampa. Grounds out to short, runs through the bag, runs to the clubhouse, and runs out into the parking lot, because at home plate, when he hit that ball into the parking lot, he heard his car alarm. He fouled the ball off his car. I'm not kidding. He went and got the keys and had to go turn off his own. We thought, where's Lonnie going?
Right.
This can't be good. He just left the stadium.
Wow. Why'd he say?
Well, we were all, we're all trying to wake up. It's a morning,
yeah.
It was one of those morning B games that we had. And not a whole lot of people there. But
that's funny.
Yes.
And now Martinez hit by the pitch. That's a third pitch that's been in on Jose Martinez, and this one finally caught him. .94-mile-an-hour pitch just above the left elbow of Jose Martinez.
I got to believe that's part of the scouting report on Martinez. They're just trying to pound him in and try to hope for the best.
Now, if you're Mike Schilt, do you get him out right now with this big lead and get treatment? It's a 7-run lead. You're in the bottom of the 5th, and get Bader a couple of at-bats and more than likely improve your defense. That will not be the case, though, at least not for the moment.
Did you get the sense maybe that little I couldn't read the lips there, that maybe he was lobbying to stay in?
Yes.
Put his arm around Mike Schilt, and I'm almost thinking that's the way the conversation went. Come on, Papi, let me stay in. I'm okay.
A little smile on his face.
Yeah, it's okay.
Have a little coffee. It'll be all right.
Some Primos Cafecitos coffee, to be specific, which we have enjoyed this homestand, haven't we?
Big time. And the 0-1 pitch. Fouled back.
And the 0-2. High chopper towards third. Oh, that was a tough play. Whew. Those aren't easy there. He wasn't sure whether to go back or come in. Came in, made the play. Cardinals strand a pair. It's 11-4.
All right, guys, thank you. 11-4. We're in the top of the 6th.
Cardinals, Dan, have 2 more hits than the Pirates do, yet the score is 11-4. The error so costly on the Pirates side, the walks costly, and I think Cardinal fans kind of know how this feels on the other end of the stick.
Last 2 days.
Walks and errors absolutely kill you.
And Cervelli up there hacking. Fouled back, and that's strike 1. I bet we're talking about Willie McGee tomorrow. He was visiting, as I mentioned, with Dan Hyatt. Does a lot of our research, and we go over different ideas, and we're enjoying the Lou Fuse this date in Cardinal history. It's been fun. He said, I got Willie tomorrow. That'll be a debut. I wonder what Willie remembers from that debut. Major League debut, Willie McGee tomorrow.
Let's ask him.
That's what we're going to do.
Be glad to go down and ask him now and get it ready.
Go right ahead.
By the way, when you did the Dan Hyatt voice, it sounded a little like Tim McCarver. Kind of like when you said what Dan's response was to you. You did it in Tim McCarver voice.
I didn't even know I was doing Tim McCarver.
It just comes out.
Well, I mean, if they could, they'd take that trade back. I mean, the Yankees, they could have used Willie.
I'll say.
Well, Whitey, I mean, he threw him right in there. I mean, you've got to be able to evaluate. And if you can't, get out of the game. That's what Tim would have said.
Tim, by the way, is the author of the book on how to analyze a baseball game. And when I say that literally. There is a book about the principles of analyzing a game. In Tim's career, I think he's established on television how you do it and some of the specifics, some of the principles.
24 World Series for our colleague Tim McCarver that he broadcast. I'd say that's pretty good. I would imagine it's a record that will not be broken. The man loves the game. He loves the Cardinals. Now, he may not like this, mound visits, but he likes a lot of things concerning baseball.
Well, you can't like everything.
I mean, why? It's a 7-run lead. What's he? I mean, really, Dan? What's he going to tell him? I mean, come on. It's the big leagues, man.
I hope Tim's watching.
Oh,
tonight.
I do and I don't. Because I'll get a call tomorrow. I heard.
Well, I might call him and tell him to tune in.
I mean, what's with this? By the way, have you lined up dinner yet? My next trip will be in Miami. Make sure you get Hayes.
John Stuper, by the way, just texted me, and he's grateful, I think, for us recognizing his birthday.
39th, right?
Yeah, he wanted to know what did he do to deserve it.
Well, his mom and dad had a lot to do with it. And that catch is made down the left field line. Nice play again by Paul DeYoung. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Ford, the official car and truck of the Cardinals. By Missouri Baptist Medical Center. Doctors call it world-class medicine. You'll call it Mobap. And find your Steel dealer at steeldealers.com. Jung-Ho Kang coming off the bench for the Pirates, and he is 0 for his last 20. There's been some talk that they may send him to the minor leagues.
Gung had a spring training in which, I mean, it truly was all or nothing. He hit a bunch of home runs, but his average right now at 138. Homered earlier this season against the Cardinals.
There was a time where he became a force.
Yes.
In their lineup on a nightly basis, and you just really weren't very sure how to pitch to it.
He's 4 for 9 against Michael Wacha. That's pulled foul.
But several issues in his life that we don't have to chronicle just made him a huge question mark as far as the Pirate management. They didn't know if they were going to get him back, if he was going to be allowed to come back into the country even. And here he is.
And the 1-2 pitch. And a fly ball lifted out to left. Ozuna with the catch, and now he's 0 for 21. So 2 outs and Newman the batter. We'll see a new pitcher coming out of the bullpen, and Ricky will tell you about that right-hander.
I want to know if this is Colin Moran's bat still.
Singled with it. Got to stay with it, right? And for those of you just joining us, he broke his bat. He was part of a double switch, and then, you know, the only best guess would be that he couldn't find his secondary bat, third bat, that would be in the dugout somewhere. So they gave him Colin Moran's. Breaks his bat and picks up another hit. That was off the bag. Fair ball, and now Newman is 2 for 2.
Well, you said he broke his bat. He may have broken Colin Moran's bat. He's smiling, but now he doesn't know whose bat he's going to use next.
Yeah, but Ricky, I mean, if he singled the first time with it,
you got to use it again.
I mean, that becomes your bat. I don't care if it says Colin Moran on it. That's yours.
Yeah, now it's firewood.
And Mike Schilt will have the double switch. John Gant coming on. And changes for the Cardinals coming up. Budweiser, what's on tap? And it's Adam Wainwright tomorrow against Trevor Williams. And we'll come your way at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest.
And with a double switch for the Cardinals, Harrison Bader came on to take an outfield position, but the outfielders weren't sure whose position they were going to take. So is it you or is it you? I pick you. You're out. And Jose didn't seem too happy about that little game they were playing. I like it.
So Bader is in center, and now John Gant, our Chevy, called to the pen. He last threw on Sunday, the often used John Gant. 2 outs, 2 on. Frazier at the plate, looks at a ball inside.
So Fowler moves to right field with Bader taking over the center field spot. And you're right, Gant's been busy, up among the league leaders in appearances, but it's slowed a bit lately. With the Cardinals losing games, less apt to use Gant, but when the Cardinals were winning and on that hot streak, Dan, it seemed like he was in every night and pitching very, very well.
And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Adam Frazier. John Gant with 22 innings pitched, second most out of the pen in Major League Baseball.
I think that's part of the heavy use, not just the games, but the fact that he's a guy that will go multiple innings often.
Frazier 3 for 6, by the way, against Gant. It's almost where you throw that out the window, because John Gant has been used as a starter, reliever, and this year maybe an outlier in a good way, just how well he's pitched.
Yeah.
Mike foul.
Mike Schilt likes to say that the goal of the players, especially when they have bad days, is to come out the next day and be a better version of yourself. Well, John Gant is definitely a better version of himself in 2019. Not that he wasn't good before, but he's up a notch or two or three.
3-2 pitch. And a little bouncer. Wong charging and makes the play. Nicely done by Colton Wong. So Gant gets the out. They strand 2. We're in St. Louis, game 1 of 4.
The Cards and Pirates on Fox Sports Midwest. Seeing that shot there, Yadier Molina talking it over the entire commercial break with manager Mike Schilt. Jim Hayes, Mike Schilt's going to be busy in the community, isn't he?
Yeah, there's a nice event involving Mike. Cardinal fans can get involved. June 24th at Norwood Hills Country Club. It's the RBI Golf Classic hosted by Mike Schilt. Mike will have a Q&A with the golfers and will mingle a little bit. All proceeds will benefit the St. Louis RBI program, Cardinals Care, and Baseball for Life, which is Mike Schilt's foundation. All foursomes will be paired with a Cardinal player or coach, broadcaster or celebrity. Broadcasters are not celebrity, Rick, so back off on that. For information, go to cardinals.com/RBI Golf. Dan, a great day of golf with the Cardinals, and all for a great cause, too.
Was that a shot?
Yeah, I don't know why he did that, but yeah. I'm in agreement.
Well, he obviously
nice job, Jim.
Obviously didn't do his full homework, because I am playing in it.
So are you a celebrity then?
I'm just telling you that the way they listed it, it said broadcasters.
Yes.
And celebrities.
Well, they have alumni, too.
Well, they have alumni. They have some current players. Coaches will be there. But what I'm telling you is they said broadcasters and celebrities. So the broadcasters are not celebrities.
Oh, I see.
I was just pointing that out for you, Rick. I was not taking a shot at you.
Oh. You know, Jim, I've seen your golf swing on the really fun and entertaining Ryan Kelly, the Home Loan Expert commercials, and I think you should be a part of that golfing event.
Well, first, Danny, you know that in the medium of television, you got to provide some entertainment. So, of course, I look bad in the commercials, but you know my game is pretty strong. You know,
it is very strong.
It's just about entertainment, Danny.
Okay. I must say, Jim Hayes is both part of the broadcast team and a celebrity in my eyes. He's both.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
okay.
I would say I'm barely a broadcaster.
Jimmy, you're the best.
Right back at you,
Don't let Ricky talk to you like this.
And by the way, great tournament. RBI, for those that don't know, reviving baseball in the inner city. They help establish programs in the inner city of St. Louis. It's just terrific. And that, of course, is across the country. But the St. Louis RBI program has been very important. Been to several of their fields. And the leagues are just, they're just terrific. And I know Michael Hall and his staff do great work with Cardinals Care, but RBI is part of what they support as well, and it's going to be a great day. I would suggest people come out. There'll be plenty of broadcasters / celebrities, and Mike Schilt will be there.
And a lot of current players.
You bet.
Ted Savage had that golf tournament for a number of years, and Teddy has been long-time Cardinal employee, former player, and then
he started it.
Moved to the front office.
I mean, dozens of years. I mean, I don't know the exact number of the years that Ted ran it, but he did. He really had the vision to do that, and now the vision is just getting expanded.
And a strikeout.
It's your favorite
Brooks,
guy,
by the way, is commissioner of Redbird rookies, and that's Neverauskas, who's into the ball game, and right-hander gets a strikeout of Dexter Fowler.
This guy's got a big arm,
and he is from Vilnius, Lithuania. About the scout on that trip to go sign him.
I had dinner with Tim McCarver and Jim Cott this spring training, and Jim has made it a point to teach the game of baseball to kids in Australia. And he said there's some young players coming that are major league worthy.
How about that?
So the game is expanding. It was really a fascinating conversation at dinner how the players are trying to learn this game. They love the game. But he said if they're taught the proper mechanics and throwing and just get them playing the game, they could be good players. Wong hits one. That will be a ground rule double. And Colton Wong has his second double of the night.
We talked about the 1982 Cardinals several times here tonight. Jim Cott was on that team, you bet.
So 1-out double off the bat of Colton Wong, and it brings in Harrison Bader.
Another good at bat for Colton Wong. A couple of doubles today. Cardinals add to their hit total.
Well, you asked for offense, you've got it, and the Cardinals are 7 for 16 with runners in scoring position tonight. First plate appearance here for Harrison Bader.
You've heard me say this before, but Jim Cott invited me in spring training, my very first spring training in the big leagues, to ride with him to the ballpark every day. And Lefty taking care of a young guy, and he was such a.
And did you do it?
I did. Every day I would. He didn't tell me he was going to pick me up at 5 o'clock or 5:30. I can't remember. Whatever it was earlier than I was used to getting up. And he would come and pick me up, and we would be the first two players at the park every day in spring training.
Is that right?
But the ride from where we stayed in Madeira Beach to St. Pete was probably 25 to 30 minutes, and I got his wisdom every day in that car, and I'm so grateful for that.
Should be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
Still broadcasting, working in the front office for the Minnesota Twins. And to his credit, trying to learn more about analytics, he was telling us at that dinner, and doing a little broadcasting with the Twins and also MLB Network. 2-1 pitch to Bader. Pulled foul, 2-2.
Whitey told me just a few years ago something I did not know from 1982. Jim Cott was struggling. They weren't sure if he was hurt, was having a bad month. They were considering either DLing him or releasing him and bringing up a pitcher from Double-A.
Rick Horton?
And he told me that about 3 or 4 years ago, and I wish he hadn't have told me that. I didn't realize that I was so close to being at least in that moment in 82.
And Bader will reach. Wong will advance. Runners at the corners. Head to the ballpark on Sunday, May 26th. This is for the kids 15 and younger. Entering with a ticket, receive a 14-ounce tumbler with a straw courtesy of Powerade and Quick Trip. The tumbler for the kids. Cardinals.com/promotions. And you'd have another ring to your collection if you were called up in 82. Well, I'd like to think that you'd help. People ask us a lot that, do the players all get a ring? And if you appear in a game, you get a ring.
Oh, yeah. But apparently not if they think about bringing you up.
No. You get, we thought about bringing you up. Sorry. Matt Carpenter was telling me the other day about that. He said, I have a 2013 NLCS ring. Proud of it. Good team. 2011, I have a ring as well. Fans may forget he was a part of that club in 2011. He said, but I didn't have a big role, and I won a ring of my own, in which I'm the starting third baseman, contributing.
Understand.
And being a part of that team. He said, don't get me wrong, I'm proud of it, but this would be different. His first hit was off of Kerry Wood here in St. Louis.
Only played in 7 games, had 19 plate appearances in that season, but you know, he was there, part of the team.
Part of the team. The 1-1 taken high, 2 balls and a strike.
But there's a different joy when you are a centerpiece of a team that does something special.
The 2-1 pitch to Carpenter. And it's lined into right for a base hit. That'll score Colton Waugh. Matt Carpenter picks up the run batted in, his 9th of the year.
Cardinals just keep adding on today. That's what's been impressive. That pitch is up in the zone. He's been fouling that pitch off or popping it up some, but he got on top of that more, Dan. Hit a ball on the line. That's the Matt Carpenter swing.
He's been telling anybody that will listen he's close.
Yeah.
He's had signs of that. Here's Goldschmidt with runners at first and second. 12-4 our score. Ball 1. Next road trip takes us through Atlanta and interleague play. Texas Rangers. There's a 1-0. Third game between these two teams, and met in Pittsburgh. It was their opening day, one of the coldest days of the year. Cardinals came back late in that game and then came back late in the second game and had a 2-game sweep. 2-1. Goldschmidt fly to center and a 2-out RBI single. Walked and scored in the 4th and struck out in the 5th. 2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2.
There's a note here on the path that this pitcher, Nebraska's had to take to actually get signed. His father had run some little league programs in Lithuania. He was a baseball guy, loved baseball, and sent him to a Major League Baseball European baseball camp in Italy. And the scouts went to that and they saw something they liked, probably 95 plus.
Slicing down into the corner. And that hops over the wall for a ground rule double. A run will score. That's Bader. And by hopping over the wall, that costs Goldschmidt another RBI, but he does drive in his 2nd of the night, and it's now 13-4.
We said earlier, keep on swinging. There'll be benefits from that. Cardinals have been doing just that. 96 down and away. Goldschmidt, very simple swing, just drops the bat head, still hits it 320 plus, and gets an extra base hit.
It's a season high 13 runs scored by the Cardinals tonight, and now Ray Searage another visit.
You think he was lobbying for more? I wonder if he was trying to make sure the count was right before stepping over the line.
It's the first extra base hit, by the way, for Paul Goldschmidt since a double against Milwaukee on the 24th of April.
So if Ray Searage goes out and there are no mound visits left, Nebraska's has to come out, correct?
I believe so.
And they don't have anybody warming up in their bullpen, and I think that's what he was worried about, wanting to make sure that the mound visit total was right on the board.
And right now they have 1 left. So runners at second and third. And here is Paul DeJong. Walked, single. Also some very good defensive plays tonight. Not to be overlooked. Dominic Leone is getting loose in the Cardinal pen, and right now it's a 9-run lead. It could get to 10, could be more. This will be a big appearance for Dominic. He's got to get on track.
He does. I also think it's a good move to get Gant out. I mean, you got him to help out Michael Wacha, who frankly may be a harsh thing to say, but I don't think he pitched very well. He may end up as the winner in this game if things continue as they are, and you'd think they would. And if he does win, he'd go to 3-0, but the ERA actually goes up, giving up 9 hits and 5 2/3. He did have better control today, just 1 walk, but 4 runs and not getting through the 6th. You wouldn't call it a high quality start.
Three and 2 with 1 out. Runners at second and third. Outfield is straight away, and the next to Paul DeJong. And he walked him, so Cardinals receiving yet another walk, and that's 8 tonight, issued by the Pittsburgh Pirates.
This is not the way they want to start a very, very, very long road trip.
No. And again, the Cardinals have the bases loaded. And I know what you want, Ricky. That's what you're thinking. Jairo Munoz at the on-deck circle. Ozuna shoots it in the gap in right center. 1 hops off the wall. At least 2 will score. Here comes a third. Clears the bases. Bases loaded double. Marcell Ozuna.
And yes, Jack Flaherty's thinking, hey, give me half of these runs yesterday. If that would have happened, the Cardinals could have won both games. And Flaherty, who actually pitched better than Michael Wacha did today, would be a winner instead of a loser. 3 more Cardinals score. And this is becoming nothing but fun for St. Louis. 16-4.
And that's the 3rd double in this inning alone. A lot of doubles hit tonight as Munoz takes a ball low. First runs batted in for Marcell on this homestand. Cardinals have received 8 walks in the ballgame.
I'm counting 6 doubles.
Yep. Season high was 8 walks, and that was back on April 1st against Pittsburgh. Matt Wieters moving to the on-deck circle. And the 2-0 pitch to Jairo Munoz. 2-1. Munoz a start yesterday at second base for Colton Wong. Cardinals batted around back in the 4th, and they may do that again here in the 6th. As Munoz taps it foul, now 3-2.
I think you have to start thinking about most likely to pitch for the Pirates as a position player.
I was already thinking that way. They double switched with Gunn. And now Munoz hits one out to deep center. Marte enough room, makes the catch. Ozuna will tag up from second to third. May 25th, make your furry friend happy by taking home a special Cardinals Yachty Dog Bowl, courtesy of Purina. Yachty Dog Bowl is available upon gate entry to 30,000 pet lovers ages 16 and older. That's May 25th. The Braves will be here, cardinals.com/promotions. My dogs, Hank and Junior, will love the Yachty Dog Bowl. Here's Matt Wieters.
Hank and Junior.
That's correct. 2 Goldens, rescues.
So you need a third, I think. They'd call him Williams. So then you'll have Hank Williams Jr.
Hadn't thought of that.
Just trying to help.
Have a cat too. That's fouled back. 2 strikes. I have a 3-legged dog, Ricky.
I do know that.
Did you meet Junior?
I did not meet Junior.
Yeah. Well, he's doing great.
I'm glad to hear that. You guys took good care of him, didn't you?
We certainly did. Inside corner, and that will strike out Matt Wieters. Thankfully. That kind of night, though. A lot of walks, a lot of hits, and a lot of fun. Back in St. Louis, and that little guy is having some fun. He's fired up. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the St. Louis Cardinals and Fox Sports Midwest. All rights reserved. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Apparently that young fan likes runs because he's seen plenty of them. Munoz stays in the game. He'll play shortstop. Wieters does the catching, and Dominic Leone will pitch the top of the 7th inning. I think it is important for Dominic just to get back on track again, and kind of the perfect kind of game and score to get him work. I wonder whether even 2 innings maybe for Leone if things go well.
$2,050 games in this series, and this is the 4th most runs Cardinals have scored against the Pirates. And that will be a base hit into center. Marte, a 2-hit night.
With all the action the Cardinals have had, I could make a case for the best player in the game is the guy that's at the plate right now for the Pirates.
Gregory Polanco, big night for him. Homered back in the first. Cardinals actually trailed in this game. It's a 2-out homer solo, and he has a RBI double in the 3rd and another one in the 5th. Goldschmidt playing behind Marte with a 12-run lead. And the 0-1 pitch.
Dan, you absolutely love games like this. Obviously, the Cardinals side, that the 16 runs, the 13 hits, the everybody being a part of it, all that's good. What it does do to the game is it takes out, I mean, the strategy's out the window. As we play in the 7th inning, the strategy becomes, okay, how do we not get anybody hurt? How do we get somebody work that needs it? How do we save somebody for tomorrow? And that conversation's going on in both dugouts. It's not just the Cardinals, but Clint Hurdle has to think that way.
How do you get through the 9 innings?
The 9 innings and then the 10 straight games that they'll play on the road after that. Got another reliever up now. It'll be their 4th pitcher of the night. And Mike Schilt, what he wants to see is steps forward for Dominic Leone.
Three-one pitch to Polanco, and he walked him, so a single and a walk. Kia give it everything. The Cardinals bullpen, the Major League Baseball ranks 8th in ERA, 2nd in WHIP, and then strikeouts per 9, 5th best at just over 10.
How about the WHIP where it is? The WHIP is walks plus hits per innings pitched. That means they're just basically a little bit over 1 base runner an inning for the bullpen, one of the tops in all of baseball, but the runs are higher. I think that's because several home runs given up by not only the Cardinal relievers but also by their starters.
Leone has had a couple of innings and appearances, no other way to put it, ugly. As Bell grounds it foul. It's against Chicago and then Cincinnati. Inning and a third, 12 runs. The other 15, his ERA is 1.93.
Right.
To further your point.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you can't throw out those bad games, though.
Nope.
You got to wear them.
And the
0-1 pitch to Josh Bell.
So pitchers and players are judged, Dan, on averages that are means. You add everything up together, what's the average? But the other way to deal with average would be what's the modal average, which is what does he do most of the time, which is what you're talking about. That's the mode. And then there's the median, which is what does he do in the middle. Not that we're doing statistics 101 here in the 7th inning of this game, but 3 types of averages, and Leone certainly does better on the other 2 than he does on the mean.
Gets a strikeout, ties up Bell. First strikeout for Dominic Leone. Good fastball. The velocity has been there this year. Even better at times than a year ago when he was healthy.
In so few innings last year, you just wonder whether he's got enough body of work in his repertoire over the last 2 years to draw from to make those adjustments quick enough.
It's a good point.
And it's not an excuse, it's just a fact. And again, he's got to deal with it, he's got to own it, he's got to be responsible for it, which, by the way, he is. He faces whatever's in front of him, he will face it.
hit to short, and they'll get the lead man.
Several people respond to me how appreciative they have been when he's had those bad games. He stood right by his locker and here you go, come talk to me. He didn't run and hide. And some players will do that.
You were talking about Dennis Eckersley earlier tonight. One of the things that he would do, he'd get a save and let's say reporters wanted to meet with him after the game, and he would do it. He was accommodating, but when he would blow a save, he would welcome it.
Yeah.
And it was just almost therapeutic to get it off his chest.
Well, I think it is part of that. Yes.
Did that in St. Louis, and he did it basically his entire career.
Maybe too soon to say that, but punching a wall doesn't help.
Saw that with one Alex Reyes. Runners at first and third. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. And Cervelli at the plate.
You've heard me say this before, but I actually had a routine for when I had a bad game. I mean, that's apparently I must have had a few, because I actually had a routine.
Yeah,
my routine would be to take my glove and throw it into my locker until I knocked all of my clothes off their hanger. Yes, I would.
Were you there for a long time?
Well, whatever it took.
That wasn't a shot at how hard you threw it.
How many?
Maybe it was.
No, it didn't. I was thinking it was because I had a lot of different uniforms, but we would only have, let's just say our clothes we had less options back then, less road unis, all that stuff. But there may be 5 or 6 things on hangers in my locker, and I would, knock them off with my glove.
And then meet with the media after that.
No one, typically wouldn't care to talk to me, but yes, I talked to him for sure.
You talking? No.
Imagine that.
It's another shot.
Okay.
The second inning, the BJC Healthcare difference maker, and in that inning, the Cardinals will get a couple of hits. Martinez and Molina both coming with 2 strikes. Fowler also a key hit with a ground rule double that scored a pair. And they were off and running after that. Cardinals have a big lead, 13 hits tonight. And they lead Clint Hurdle and the Pirates here in game 1 of the 4-game series, 16-4. So a lot of offense, Ricky, and obviously the Cardinals, the 2-strike hitting, the 2-strike approach, everything.
I mean, it's just been good from top to bottom.
Runners in scoring position, all of that has added up to this 16-4 lead for the St. Louis Cardinals, and now it's a new pitcher in for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
And you thought Dovydas Neverauskas was an interesting name. How about Montana DuRappo? Just rolls right off your tongue, doesn't it?
Montana DuRappo.
You got it. "32nd round choice, and yet he's made it to the big leagues. From Florida. And when's the last time you saw a pitcher who was 5'9", 196 in the big leagues?
Not often. And on a hop, Fowler retired. He is from Bethune-Cookman. That's where he pitched at.
Right.
32nd round in 2014. Not many coming from Bethune-Cookman. One out, nobody on. Here's Colton Wong. We're in the bottom of the 7th, 16-4. The Cardinals with the lead.
Watch out.
Wow. Back at him, made the play for out number 2. Man, oh man. Woo.
I think everybody at the ballpark is glad he caught it. Maybe even Colton Wong, too. Boom.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
That's hit his head.
It is. Man, oh, man. Glad he had good reactions there.
Colton actually broke his bat. And if he didn't, that comes off harder, and who knows. Here's Bader. Bethune-Cookman against the University of Florida here. If you can play, they'll find you.
You know, you mentioned earlier that Albert drove in his 200th run. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had video of that? Just would be really nice if just somehow, some way.
Oh, you're going to get it in a moment. It's the Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Missouri.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that. Very glad to hear that. But I just
want to see the Pujols home run.
Just interested in it. I just wish we, somehow, some way.
Sounds like you're calling out our producer, Brian Shapiro.
Well, I'm just offering a challenge. In a hurry, can he find it?
Well, can you wait 90 seconds?
I guess I'll have to.
Thank you, Brian Shapiro. Top of the 8th, Dominic Leone, his second inning of work. He issued a base hit and a walk and pitched out of that. No damage done. So here we go in the 8th inning, and Colin Moran. All right, Ricky, here you go.
Oh, I wanted to see it, and there it is. I must say I preferred seeing them in a Cardinal uniform. 2,000 career RBI for Albert Pujols. Congratulations.
Wow.
To Albert.
Remarkable. 4 players have done it.
Elite.
And Albert the 4th. So Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Hall of Famers, A-Rod, no. Pujols, and then Gehrig 3 shy.
So we passed Gehrig earlier in the week, and you just, you wake up in the morning and you have more RBIs than Lou Gehrig.
Wow.
That's some pretty heady stuff, isn't it?
I think a lot about what it would have been like to have him here for his entire career. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
The moments associated with that. But you probably would not have had your starting pitcher tonight, Stephen Piscotty. Both were compensation picks for the loss of Pujols. Wacha, the NLCS MVP of 13. But
there's a great debate about that.
You just don't know
what Albert could have brought you if. I mean, Albert, no doubt, was the centerpiece when he was here, and could he have maintained that? Who knows? Would he have dropped off anyway? How would Cardinal fans have reacted to that? I would have said pretty good, as they always do. But could he have been just a winning presence here and created enough other positives that you could have gone out and got other players anyway, despite not getting the compensation picks? It is an interesting debate, and what effect he may have had one way or the other on the attendance here at the ballpark.
Sure. 3-2 pitch, and he struck him out. Leone, the strikeout.
And he struck out 3 of the last 4 batters he's faced, so certainly he's made a good adjustment. That's the cutter, that's his pitch. And he goes in and out with it, hit that outside corner.
It's human nature to wonder what if.
Yes.
I think we all do.
Of course.
And as much as Bill DeWitt loves this franchise and great players, you wonder how much he wrestles with it.
Yeah.
John Mozeliak. I also wonder how much Albert wrestles with it too.
Yeah.
To stay in one city in this day and age of free agency and play as long as he's going to play, 2 more years left on his contract, it could have been a St. Louis Cardinal for life. Official partner of the Cardinals, StubHub. Even after the first pitch, get your tickets at StubHub.
Cold night. They're staying for the final out, it looks like. Will Clint Hurdle go to a position player? Nobody throwing in their bullpen. Position player could be throwing underneath in a batting cage. Here's Kevin Newman. Looks at a strike. And that breaking pitch from Leon has got sharper here. I do wonder about it a lot. What it would have been like to see that moment here, or hit number 3,000, home run, 500, 600, 700, who knows?
Well, there's the business factor of it, which relates to the bottom line, and then there's, do you win or not? That factor, and then there's the history factor. You've laid out all of those things, and then there's just the personal, emotional, love of Cardinal baseball that everybody comes to that same discussion from a different angle, but an important angle.
Absolutely.
Fans, Albert himself, the Cardinals owner. It's an interesting question.
What he did in the community?
Let's ask him when he comes here.
And continues to do in our... Molina. Slow start, but forget about that. He has been red hot. 3 for 4, double, couple of singles, drove in 2, scored 3 runs. He hadn't scored more than 1 run in any game this year, and he's our Budweiser player of the game and just keeps on going.
I always felt that when there was a big offensive output for the Cardinals over the years, that Yachty would be right in the middle of it. And he was certainly in the middle of it tonight, our Budweiser player of the game, but several other worthy candidates.
Here's Carpenter, top of the lineup again for St. Louis. And another base hit. Yachty, by the way, now has driven in 24 among Major League catchers. That's first. He's got 35 hits. That's first. 10 doubles. That's first among all catchers.
About most innings of any National League catcher, too. And that is something that year after year he leads in. That means he's out there every day. And for a catcher, normally those offensive numbers, Dan, suffer when you're going through the physical demands of catching every day. But for Yachty, he just keeps on going.
Average now to season high 289. Here's Goldschmidt. We were talking about Pujols. You got to remember too at the time, and you just don't know, but if you sign Albert, are you able to re-sign Yachty and Waino? And that was a question at that point in time. And it's valid. At that point you weren't sure, but when that chunk of money was dedicated to somebody else, not Pujols, it opened up the possibility then of those two coming back and re-signing with the club. 1 ball, 1 strike on Paul Goldschmidt.
That is the quandary that every general manager in baseball is in.
Base hit for Goldschmidt. 3rd hit tonight to go along with a walk, so good to see him bust out of it here.
And it's no different if you're trying to be if you're the general manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, or if you're on the Red Sox, Yankees, doesn't matter. You've got limited resources. Now the limit's a lot higher if you're the Red Sox and the Yankees, and apparently the Phillies now, and the Dodgers, but everybody's got their limits.
And it's how you want to conduct your business.
Sure.
I mean, the Pirates are taking a lot of heat for not signing players or retaining them. Highest paid player on their roster is Francisco Cervelli, and he's a free agent to be. Here's Jed Jerko. I do think there needs to be, you talk about a salary cap, there needs to be a floor too that teams need to meet to stay competitive. We saw it worked for Houston, worked for Chicago. They tanked. No other way to put it. I mean, they were picking high and getting those high draft choices, built the team up, and then after that, then they supplanted it with, some free agent signings and spending money on different players. But if you have a floor, then you would hope that
with the salaries of those players that you're going to get some players that can play at this level and be competitive somewhat.
I do feel for organizations like the Marlins that have to get rid of so many talented players within a 3-year period. Think about their outfield. They had the best outfield in baseball.
Catcher was pretty darn good too.
They're not to mention their catcher. So they just, if you're a Marlin fan, that would be hard to swallow. That, wait a minute, we've got Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in our outfield, and now we don't have any of them.
Think about what they've done really 3 times to that fan base and just gutted it. Winning the World Series, they gutted it. They won again. And they made the playoffs as the wild card and won the World Series. And then you get into a real sticky debate over their stadium, how it was purchased, what was done to get it, and then they went out and signed players saying, okay, we got this stadium, we got an influx of money. They brought him in for a year and gutted it. That's hard to swallow. And for Derek Jeter and that front office, it's going to be, I mean, really difficult to not only get the fans, but then to get them and retain them and keep them and make them want to come back.
So they're a little wiser to how that all works now. And so you go to them and talk about, well, making some kind of a long-term deal and commitment to our organization to help it grow. Yet, you know, they say, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
And their crowds, I mean, have been alarmingly low again this year. Trying to rebuild again. I think what adds to what you're talking about too, and that's a little cutie, gets a souvenir. A cold night. Dad in the So Taguchi jersey. Here's a 1-2 pitch now to Jed Jerko. And that's a base hit out to left. They'll hold Carpenter. The bases again will be loaded. But Ricky, again, what I was about to say, and it adds to it, is that when you trade Yelich, you get Lewis Brinson back, and he's not been the player that you anticipated. And oh, by the way, Yelich goes and gets the MVP, or Stanton goes to the Yankees. It's, you know, here we go again. The Yankees having this chance.
Well, the Cardinals that they got for Ozuna have not exactly panned out to the level they thought they would. Magneuris Sierra, they thought he'd be an everyday starting center fielder and a 300 hitter and steal 30 bases. Well, that hasn't happened.
Right. Ozuna came up with the bases loaded last time and cleared them. A double. It scored 3. And bounces into a double play. Run will score, and it's not a double play. He beat it out. Good hustle by Ozuna.
And believe me, that'll be pointed out by the coaching staff that he's moving down the line and keeps this thing going. 17-4.
Well, you've got to have some want to in it, and does he want to get an RBI? I'm sure he does. But is it beyond that? He's just trying to play the game the right way. Absolutely. So, you know, when you're in this situation, Dan, you can't stop hitting. You got to keep hitting. But what you can do is just go station to station on the bases. And that's what Pop Warner's doing. Station to station. You don't run into outs on purpose. You don't strike out on purpose. You just keep hitting. That's what you do. And that's what the Pirates would do if the tables were flipped.
Marcell Ozuna now has driven in 34. 34, third most in all of baseball. 1-0 pitch to Munoz.
I guess in basketball you stop the full court press. You maybe pass the ball around a little more.
Extend your offensive possessions.
Football, you kind of go into the, well, just We're not going to pass. We're not going to pass deep. We'll just run. But in baseball, what do? You just got to keep hitting.
Cody Bellinger leads baseball with 38 driven in. Marcel's former teammate Christian Yelich with 37. And Marcell Ozuna with 34, third best in all of baseball. And he is running way different than he did at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Munoz hits it up the middle, and a call of out at first base, and that'll cost Munoz a run batted in. And with this big lead,
you don't challenge it.
You don't challenge. That's another part of this.
Right.
You don't do it. Big night for Marcell and the Cardinals, 17-4. Game summary, 17-4. The Cardinals with the lead. Polanco for the Pirates, a bright spot, 3 for 3. Michael Wacha, 5 2/3. Molina, 3 for 4. Fowler, 3 for 5. Drove in 3. That's a look at your game summary. And John Brebbia will be what we would like to think, the final pitcher of the night. Chevy called to the pen.
Well, I have been happiest today of all the Cardinal offensive things that went on. I think the guy I'm happiest for, there's Jed Jerko, who played first base here in the 9th inning. I think I'm happiest for Dominic Leone. I mean, all the offensive guys, yep, that's good. I'm happy for them too. But for Dominic Leone and the adversity he's been dealing with and the struggles, he went out and had 2 innings and struck out 4 and didn't give up a run, just 1 hit. So a good outing for him. Brebbia replaces him. And so good vibes all the way around, Danny.
And a strike by Brebbia, and we're underway here in the top of the 9th. Mitch Smith with us here in the booth, helping us out. Kim Eberly, our Fox Sports Midwest crew. On a chilly night here at Busch Stadium. That last pitch hit 94. Elias Diaz at the plate. So Wainwright will go tomorrow, Friday night here at Busch Stadium. Big crowds expected tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Wainwright against Trevor Williams, Michaelis, and Jordan Lyles on Saturday. That's a day game at 1:15. Sunday, Mother's Day, the 1:15 start. Dakota Hudson. And the Cardinals will face the lefty Stephen Brault. All the games right here on Fox Sports Midwest.
Very excited about the Mother's Day crowd.
We were told the other day that it may be the biggest of the series.
Yes.
Have you gotten your mom a present? And have you gotten Ann Horton, your lovely wife, a present?
Well, there's a giveaway on Mother's Day. I'm waiting for that.
Really?
Yeah, it's a nice giveaway. It's a kind of a red bag. It's beautiful.
STL.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Well, it used to be a tradition for us to kind of splurge and kind of get a nice seat right behind home plate for Ann and our kids on Mother's Day. That was a long-standing tradition. But she's at a horse show, and our kids have flown the nest.
How about Munoz showing off the arm? He's got a cannon.
That he does.
Baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Wherever legendary MLB moments happen, Budweiser will be there. And try Jack's $4.99 spicy chicken strips combo. Only a Jack in the Box for a limited time. Price and participation may vary. Michael Wacha can relax. Adam Wainwright.
And all the other starters want to know, how do they get that run support?
What's your secret? There's Polanco. And for the fans that aren't giving you the Ric Flair woo, some of them are on their feet.
I'll take the wave over the woo any day.
Would you say that to Ric Flair if he was standing next to you?
I would.
Is that right?
Of course. And then I'd run.
Jim Hayes had a conversation with Ric Flair a few years ago on a pregame show.
Huh.
And the Pirates down to their final strike. 1-2, and he did the woo for Jim Hayes. Screamed it into the camera.
Now that I like.
Cardinals trying to go to 22-16. And if they hold on, and we would assume they would, the Pirates would fall to 500. "17 runs tonight. That hasn't been done in a long time at home. The 3-2 pitch. In the air, backing up to make the play. Coldwater, 17-4. The final. Cardinals win it in a lapper here tonight.
Exactly the game the Cardinals needed after some struggles. August 22nd, 2008. The last time the Cardinals scored this many runs. What a great night at the ballpark.
All St. Louis here in Game 1. The postgame show coming up. 17-4 the final.